At the cruise terminal in Miami, my son said, "Mom, you're in an inside cabin on deck 3. We're in the penthouse suite. Please don't come up to our deck." It wouldn't look right. I nodded and smiled. What he didn't know was that I had just paid $32,000 for this entire family vacation. During that 7-day cruise, I made decisions that would change everything. Good day, dear listeners. It's Emma here. I'm so glad you're with me today. Please like this video and listen to my story until the very end. And let me know which city you're tuning in from so I can see how far my words have traveled. I used to believe that being a good mother meant never saying no. For 72 years, I lived by that principle. My late husband, James, and I had worked ourselves to exhaustion. He was a contractor. I was a nurse at Boston General for 43 years. We saved every penny, invested carefully, and by the time James passed 4 years ago, we had built something substantial: a paid-off house in Newton, Massachusetts, a healthy retirement fund, and enough savings that I thought I could help my only son, Marcus, whenever he needed it. Marcus was my pride and joy. He'd done well for himself, working as a senior technology executive at a software company in Cambridge. When he married Vanessa 5 years ago, I was thrilled. She was beautiful, vivacious, and seemed to adore my 2 grandchildren. From Marcus's first marriage, Sophia, now 15, and Jake, 12. Vanessa had her own career as a lifestyle influencer, though I didn't fully understand what that meant at first. The requests started small, innocent even. About 2 years ago, Vanessa called me, her voice trembling. "Mom, Dorothy, I hate to ask, but we're in a terrible situation. The roof inspector found critical damage. If we don't fix it immediately, our homeowner's insurance could be canceled. We need $18,000 by Friday, and Marcus's bonus doesn't come through until next month." Of course I helped. What mother wouldn't? I transferred the money that same day. A month later, it was the kids' medical bills. "Sophia needs oral surgery, and our insurance won't cover it. $25,000. We'll pay you back as soon as we can." I sent the money. Then came Vanessa's business launch. She was starting her own lifestyle brand, she explained, and needed capital for inventory and marketing. $35,000. "This is an investment in our family's future, Mom. Once the business takes off, we'll be set." I kept a mental tally at first, but after a while, the numbers blurred together. There was always an emergency, always a reason why they couldn't wait, always a promise to pay me back when things settled down. Marcus's bonus was always coming next quarter. Vanessa's brand was always about to secure a major sponsorship deal. I never said no. I was useful. I was needed. And wasn't that what family was supposed to do? Last November, Vanessa called with excitement in her voice. "Mom, Dorothy, we're planning a family cruise for spring break. 7 days in the Caribbean. The kids are so excited. You should come with us. It would mean so much to have you there." My heart soared. I hadn't spent quality time with my grandchildren in months. They were always so busy with school and activities, and Vanessa's social calendar seemed packed with events and photo shoots. A week together on a cruise ship sounded like heaven. "That sounds wonderful," I said. "Let me book my cabin." "Actually," Vanessa said quickly, "let me handle the booking. I've been working with this amazing travel agent who gets incredible deals for influencers. I'll send you the cabin options and you can just Venmo me your portion." 3 days later, she called back, her voice panicked. "Mom, I'm so sorry. The travel agent made a mistake. The group booking fell through, and now the prices have skyrocketed. The whole package for all 5 of us is going to be $32,000. Marcus and I just don't have that kind of cash right now. His company is going through layoffs, and my brand expenses have been higher than expected this quarter." She paused, and I could hear the tears in her voice. I was so looking forward to this trip. The kids have been talking about it for weeks. I don't know how I'm going to tell them we can't go. How much is just my portion? I asked. Well, if we do it fairly, about 6,000. But Mom, I can't ask you to pay when we're the ones who can't afford our share. I made a decision in that moment. Perhaps it was pride. Perhaps it was fear of disappointing my grandchildren. Perhaps it was simply habit. Vanessa, let me take care of it. The whole thing. Consider it my treat. I want my family to have this memory together. The silence on the other end lasted just a beat too long. Then, Mom, are you sure? That's incredibly generous. I'm sure. Family is everything. You're amazing. The kids are going to be so thrilled. I'll have the travel agent send you the booking confirmation. The confirmation arrived 2 days later. I was booked in an inside cabin on deck 3. The email mentioned that the rest of the party was in the Penthouse suite, but I assumed there had been limited availability. Inside cabins were perfectly fine. I'd spent 43 years in hospital night shifts. I didn't need a window. What I didn't do, because I trusted my family, was ask to see the booking details for their cabins. I simply paid the $32,000 and started counting down the days until March. The first crack in my trust came 3 weeks before the cruise. I was scrolling through Instagram late one night. Something I'd only recently learned to do. Sophia had helped me set up an account so I could see her dance recital photos. As I browsed, Vanessa's account appeared in my suggested follows. I clicked on it, curious to see what a lifestyle influencer actually posted. What I found made my breath catch. Photo after photo of luxury. Vanessa at expensive restaurants. The captions mentioning date nights and tagging the locations. Vanessa in designer outfits, each post carefully crediting the brands. Vanessa showing off her home office setup with what looked like thousands of dollars in equipment and furniture. I started scrolling backward through her feed, my hands beginning to shake. There was a post from 2 months ago. A stunning leather handbag, Chanel written in elegant script across the clasp. The caption read, "Treated myself to this beauty. Sometimes you have to invest in quality. Self-care isn't selfish." I knew that bag. I'd seen it in a magazine at my doctor's office. $5,000. I scrolled further. A post from last summer showed Vanessa and Marcus at what appeared to be a Greek island. White buildings, blue water, sunset cocktails. 10-year anniversary trip to Santorini. Grateful for this life. My mind raced back. Last July, Vanessa had called asking for $12,000 for emergency property taxes. The county changed our assessment, and we got hit with a massive bill. If we don't pay by the deadline, there are penalties. I'd sent the money immediately. I kept scrolling, kept finding. A post about a kitchen renovation, showing gleaming white cabinets and marble countertops. That was the $18,000 roof repair. A post showing off Marcus's new home office, equipped with multiple monitors and a fancy chair. That was part of the $25,000 for Sophia's medical bills. By 2 a.m, I had cross-referenced nearly every emergency expense request with a corresponding social media post showing how the money had actually been spent. I opened my banking app with trembling fingers and started calculating. In 24 months, I had transferred $215,000 to Marcus and Vanessa. Not once had they paid back a single dollar. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in James's old chair, the one I'd kept in the corner of our bedroom, and I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel in a long time. Not quite anger yet, something colder. Something like awakening. The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I called my bank and requested detailed statements for the past 2 years. Then I called my attorney, Richard Morrison, who'd handled James's estate. "Richard, I need to talk to you about protecting my assets." We met that afternoon. I showed him everything. The bank statements, the Instagram posts, the pattern of requests and broken promises. He listened without interrupting, his expression growing grimmer with each page. "Dorothy," he said finally, "I'm going to be direct with you. What you're describing is financial exploitation. It's more common than you think, especially with elderly parents." "I'm not elderly," I said reflexively. "You're 72 and widowed. In the eyes of the law, you're potentially vulnerable. Which is why we need to act now, before this escalates." Before it escalates to what? Before they try to take control completely. I've seen cases where adult children push for power of attorney, conservatorship, claims of diminished capacity, especially when the money flow is threatened. A chill ran through me. You think Marcus would do that? I think people do surprising things when their lifestyle is at stake. Let's hope I'm wrong, but let's also prepare like I'm right. Over the next week, Richard helped me restructure everything. We created a revocable living trust. We updated my will. We established medical directives and powers of attorney with Richard's partner, a woman I'd never met, but who had no connection to Marcus. We documented everything. "One more thing," Richard said during our final meeting before the cruise. "Don't tell them yet. Wait until after this trip. Once you're back safely, we'll sit down and have a family meeting. But if you confront them now, while you're trapped on a ship for 7 days, it could get ugly." I agreed. I would go on the cruise. I would smile. I would observe. And then I would act. The morning of departure arrived bright and warm. I drove my own car to the port of Miami, having declined Vanessa's offer to all ride together. I told her I had errands to run beforehand. As I walked through the massive terminal, pulling my modest suitcase behind me, I spotted them near the priority boarding line. Marcus, in expensive casual wear. Vanessa, in a designer sundress and hat that I recognized from a recent Instagram post. Sophia and Jake were absorbed in their phones. "Mom!" Marcus called out, waving. "Over here!" I made my way to them, and Vanessa embraced me with her usual air kiss efficiency. "You made it. How exciting is this?" "Very exciting," I said, smiling at my grandchildren. "Hi, sweethearts." Sophia looked up and grinned. "Hi, Grandma." Jake gave me a distracted wave. "So, Mom," Marcus said, shifting his weight in a way that made him look like the boy who used to confess to breaking things. "There's something we should probably mention about the cabin situation. The travel agent really messed up." Vanessa jumped in smoothly. "That's fine," I said. "Where am I?" "Deck 3. Inside cabin. Very cozy." Vanessa's smile was bright and empty. "We're up on deck 12. The penthouse suite." Something must have shown on my face because Marcus stepped closer. "Mom, it's not personal. The thing is, the penthouse deck has a private area. It's kind of exclusive. They're weird about guests who aren't staying on that deck." "I understand," I said quietly. "Do you?" Vanessa's voice had an edge now. "Because I really need you to understand, Mom Dorothy. We're going to be doing some content creation during this trip. I have sponsors who are expecting certain aesthetics. The penthouse deck is where we'll be filming. It just wouldn't look right to have you in the background. You understand, right? It's work for us." I looked at my son. He couldn't meet my eyes. "So you're saying I shouldn't come to your deck during the entire cruise?" "Just during filming times," Marcus said weakly. "Which is most afternoons and evenings. But we'll do breakfast together, and we can meet at the shows. Or you can do your own thing," Vanessa added brightly. "There's so much to do on these ships. Bingo, trivia, the spa. You'll have a great time." I nodded. I'm sure I will. We boarded separately. They disappeared into the priority lane. I waited in the regular boarding queue, surrounded by excited families, and felt something hardening in my chest. My cabin was exactly what I'd expected. I unpacked slowly, hanging up the few outfits I'd brought. And then I sat on the bed and allowed myself 5 minutes to feel the hurt. Just 5 minutes. Then I dried my eyes, fixed my makeup, and went to find the ship's business center. The attendant was a young woman with a name tag that read Christina. She smiled as I approached. Can I help you? Yes. I need to access the internet. I have some work to do. She set me up at a computer station. I logged into my email, my bank account, my photo storage, and then I started downloading every Instagram post from Vanessa's account for the past 2 years, every email requesting money, every text message. I created folders. I organized. I time-stamped. 2 hours later, I had a comprehensive digital record of everything. That evening, we met for dinner at the main dining room. It was the only meal we'd all share together. Apparently, Vanessa dominated the conversation, talking about her content calendar and the shots she wanted to get. Marcus nodded along. The kids picked at their food. Grandma, what are you going to do tomorrow? Sophia asked. I thought I'd explore the ship, I said. Not the adults-only pool on deck 12, Vanessa said quickly. That's part of the penthouse access. I wouldn't dream of it, I said. Sophia frowned. That seems mean. Can't Grandma come visit your suite, at least? It's complicated, honey, Marcus said. How is it complicated? Sophia's voice rose. She's your mom. Sophia, enough, Vanessa snapped. This is between the adults. My granddaughter's face flushed, and she stood up abruptly. May I be excused? Sit down, Vanessa commanded. Let her go, I said quietly. She's upset. Sophia fled. Jake followed her a moment later, and then it was just the 3 of us at the table. Mom, I'm sorry, Marcus began. Don't be, I said. I understand perfectly. Do you? Vanessa leaned forward. Because honestly, Mom Dorothy, you've been giving off some weird energy today. Is everything okay? Are you feeling all right? There it was. The beginning of the groundwork. Plant the seed that I might be unwell. I'm perfectly fine, I said. Just a little tired from the drive. You should rest, Marcus agreed too quickly. Big day tomorrow. I excused myself and went back to my windowless cabin on deck 3. As I lay in the narrow bed, I could hear the muffled sounds of the ocean and the ship's engines. I thought about my son in his penthouse suite. I thought about Richard's warning, and I made a decision. I wouldn't wait until after the cruise to act. I would document everything during this trip. Every slight, every dismissal, every moment. They made it clear I was an embarrassment. And then, when we docked, I would be ready. The next 3 days followed a pattern. I ate breakfast alone. I explored the ship, took photos, attended shows by myself. A few times, I saw my family at a distance. Once, I spotted them at the adults-only pool that I wasn't welcome at. Vanessa was posing for Marcus, who was taking photos with a professional-looking camera. Another time, I saw them at an expensive specialty restaurant, the kind that cost extra on top of the cruise fare. I didn't interrupt. I watched. I documented. I took screenshots of Vanessa's Instagram stories, showing their amazing family vacation that somehow never included me. On day 4, Vanessa called my cabin phone. Mom Dorothy, I have a huge favor to ask. What is it? I need $15,000 transferred today. There's an opportunity to partner with a major brand, but I need to purchase inventory up front. The deal closes in 48 hours. I sat up in my narrow bed. You're asking me for money while we're on a cruise? I know the timing is terrible, but this is huge for my business. You know, I'll pay you back. Like you've paid back the other $215,000? Silence. Then, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that I've given you and Marcus over $200,000 in the past 2 years. And you haven't repaid a single penny. Mom, that wasn't loans. That was family helping family. We've had emergencies, like the emergency roof that was actually a kitchen renovation, like the medical bills that were actually a trip to Greece. Her voice went cold. Have you been spying on me? I've been looking at your public Instagram account, the one where you post about your luxury lifestyle that I'm apparently funding. I can't believe this, she hissed. Marcus was right. You've been acting paranoid. This obsession with money, it's not healthy. I'm not giving you another dollar. Fine. You know what? This whole victim act is getting old. We've done so much for you. We invited you on this vacation even though it's been inconvenient. And this is how you repay us? I hung up. An hour later, Marcus knocked on my cabin door. I opened it to find him looking worried and angry. Mom, what's going on? Vanessa is really upset. Come in, I said. He stepped into the tiny cabin, looked around at the cramped space, and had the grace to look uncomfortable. Is this really where you're staying? This is what $32,000 bought. For all 5 of us. He blinked. What do you mean? I mean, I paid for this entire cruise, Marcus. The whole thing. You didn't know that? Vanessa said you paid for your portion. $6,000. She lied. Or did you think a penthouse suite and an inside cabin cost the same? He sat down heavily on the edge of my bed. I don't understand. Who? Your wife has been using me as an ATM for 2 years. She requests money for emergencies that don't exist. And you either knew and didn't care, or you're so disconnected from your own finances that you had no idea. Which is it, Marcus? That's not fair, he said. We have had emergencies. Show me the emergency roof repair. Show me the medical bills. Show me any documentation for any of the money I've given you. He couldn't. Mom, I think you're confused about some things. Vanessa mentioned you've been acting strangely. Maybe we should get you checked out when we get back. Sometimes after people lose a spouse, they can develop confusion about finances. And there it was. Just as Richard had predicted. Get out, I said quietly. Mom, get out of my cabin. Now. He left. I locked the door behind him and sat in the dark, my hands shaking. That night, there was a soft knock. I almost didn't answer, but something made me check the peephole. Sophia stood there, alone. I opened the door quickly. Can I come in? I pulled her inside. She sat on my bed, her eyes red from crying. Grandma, I heard them talking. Vanessa and Dad. About you. What did you hear? Vanessa said you're getting senile. She said they might need to take control of your accounts to protect you from yourself. Dad said he didn't want to do that, and Vanessa got really mad. She said if he wasn't willing to do what was necessary, maybe she married the wrong man. My stomach turned. Sophia, I need you to be very honest with me. How long have you known that your stepmother has been taking money from me? I didn't know the amounts until tonight. But I knew she asks you for money a lot. She's always complaining to Dad that she needs more money. And I see the stuff she buys. Last week she got a designer bag that cost more than my entire year of dance lessons. Have you ever heard her talk about paying me back? Sophia shook her head. She talks about you, like you're this bank that never runs out. And she gets mad when you ask questions. Sweetheart, I need to ask you something. And it's okay to say no. She nodded. If I gave you my email address, could you send me any text messages or recordings you might have of your parents discussing me or discussing money? She looked scared. Yes, if I do this and Vanessa finds out, She'll make my life hell. She already acts like I'm in the way. I would never put you in danger. But Sophia, they're going to try to take control of my money. And if they succeed, they won't just be hurting me. They'll be teaching you and Jake that it's okay to use people. Is that the lesson you want? She pulled out her phone. I recorded them tonight. After I heard what they were saying, I hit record. I knew it was wrong, but I wanted you to know I believe you. She played the audio. Vanessa's voice came through clear and sharp. Marcus, your mother is sitting on over $1 million. We've barely scratched the surface. But she's getting suspicious. We need to move faster. I'm not comfortable with this, Marcus's voice responded. Then what? We lose the house? We lose everything because you're too much of a coward to handle your own mother? She's old, Marcus. She doesn't need all that money. We're her family. It should be ours anyway. She's not that old. She's sharp. Not for long. I've already planted seeds with some of our friends. Everyone thinks it's so sad how you're managing your mother's decline. When we petition the court, we'll have witnesses. I felt sick. Sophia was crying. Send me that recording, I said. And any others you might have. She did. Then she hugged me tight. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry. You have nothing to be sorry for. You're brave. After she left, I couldn't sleep. I went back to the business center and sent everything to Richard. The recording, the timeline, the Instagram evidence, all of it. His response came through an hour later. Get off that ship safely. Don't confront them again. When you dock, I'll have everything ready. The remaining 3 days of the cruise were tense. I avoided my family. They didn't seem to notice or care. On the last night, I saw them at the farewell dinner, laughing and taking photos. Vanessa waved at me from across the dining room, a gesture that felt like dismissal. When we disembarked in Miami, I told Marcus I'd arranged my own transportation home. He looked relieved. Mom, about what happened? Maybe we can talk when things calm down. Maybe, I said. I flew back to Boston that afternoon. Richard picked me up from the airport. They're going to file within the week, he said. Vanessa's already contacted an attorney about a competency evaluation. Then we file first. 2 days later, Marcus received a certified letter. It was a formal demand for repayment of $215,000, documented as loans, with a deadline of 30 days. It included a complete accounting of every transfer, cross-referenced with social media evidence showing how the money was actually spent. It also included a notice that my estate had been restructured. Educational trusts had been established for Sophia and Jake, accessible when they turned 25. Everything else was going to charity. Marcus and Vanessa had been removed as beneficiaries. The phone calls started immediately. First from Marcus, apologetic and confused, then from Vanessa, furious and threatening. You can't do this, she screamed into my voicemail. We'll fight this. We'll prove you're incompetent. Let them try, Richard said when I played him the message. We have medical evaluations from 3 different doctors. We have cognitive tests. We have you on tape conducting complex financial planning. Their petition won't survive first contact with a judge. He was right. When they filed their emergency petition for conservatorship, claiming I was mentally unfit to manage my finances, the judge took one look at our counterfiling and dismissed it. Mrs. Chen is clearly of sound mind, the judge stated. Furthermore, this court is troubled by what appears to be a pattern of financial exploitation by the petitioners. The judge didn't stop there. She ordered a full accounting of how the $215,000 had been spent. She asked pointed questions about the cruise I'd paid for. She asked why, if they were so concerned about my mental state, they hadn't sought help until after I stopped giving them money. By the end of the hearing, Vanessa was in tears, and Marcus looked like he wanted to disappear. The judge ordered a repayment plan, $2,000 per month for 10 years, garnished from Marcus's wages if necessary. She also issued a restraining order, forbidding them from contacting me except through attorneys. And Mr. Chen, the judge added, looking directly at my son, I suggest you think long and hard about how you want your children to remember this period in your life. The story made the local news. Not the hearing itself, but enough details leaked that people started talking. A reporter at the Boston Globe wrote a feature about financial elder abuse. They didn't use my name, but they used enough details that people who knew our family could figure it out. Marcus's company launched an internal investigation. Vanessa's sponsors began dropping her. The influencer community, always quick to sense scandal, distanced themselves. Within 3 months, Marcus and Vanessa had separated. He'd discovered she'd been hiding credit card debt, personal loans, all kinds of financial chaos. The perfect life she'd been posting on Instagram was a house of cards. Sophia called me in May. Grandma, can I come visit you? Of course, darling. Does your father know? Yeah. He said it's my choice. He's living in an apartment now. Vanessa moved back to Florida. He's in therapy. She visited for a weekend, and we talked for hours. About honesty, about boundaries, about what family really means. I recorded more conversations after that night on the ship, she told me. I gave them to Dad. I think it helped him see what was really happening. That was very brave. I learned it from you, she said. I'm 72 years old, and I'm having the time of my life. I joined a book club. I take painting classes. Next month, I'm going to Italy, a trip I'm taking alone because I want to. Last week, Marcus asked if we could have coffee. We met at a neutral location. He apologized, really apologized, without excuses or justifications. I was weak, he said. I let Vanessa manipulate me. I let her manipulate you. And I almost helped her destroy you to keep funding a lifestyle neither of us could actually afford. Why? I asked. Because it was easier than admitting I'd married the wrong person. Because I liked the life, even if it was fake. Because saying no to her meant facing all the ways I'd failed. We're not fixed. We may never be what we once were. But we're talking, and he's paying back the money every month on time. The educational trusts for Sophia and Jake remain. When they turn 25, they'll have funds for college or starting their lives. But they'll have to earn it by learning what family really means. As for Vanessa, I hear she's engaged to someone else now. Someone older, someone wealthy. I hope he has better boundaries than I did. I learned something important during all of this. Being kind isn't the same as being a doormat. Loving your family doesn't mean letting them exploit you. And saying no isn't selfish. It's survival. If my story sounds familiar to you, if you've been the person who gives and gives while being treated like an ATM, I want you to know something. You deserve better. Your money, your resources, your generosity, they should be appreciated, not expected. And the moment someone makes you feel ashamed for setting boundaries, that's the moment you know those boundaries are necessary. So I ask you, dear listeners, what would you have done in my position? Would you have kept giving to keep the peace? Or would you have fought back? If this story resonated with you, please share it. Someone out there needs to hear that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. It's never too late to reclaim your dignity. It's never too late to teach people how you deserve to be treated. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you never have to live it. But if you do, remember this. You are worth fighting for. Your peace matters. Your dignity matters. And love without respect isn't love at all.